But everybody should have this in your inbox now. So this is kind of the final, right? We are going to be in overtime because they did not approve the budget. They didn't agree on the budget until, what was that, late Wednesday night? And the 72-hour cool off period was going to end over the weekend. So they just decided to come back Monday and finish it. So on Monday, they'll pass the budget bill and sine die. But this week, there were House and Senate floor votes, and then a lot of budget conferencing. Those were the highlights. And we are at the end of the session. So going from last week to this week, I moved all the bills that did make it through and get enrolled. I moved it up to the passed column or category. We do have the budget bill. 2508 is in the conference version. I think that means it's a guaranteed pass, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But I'll let everybody know on Monday when the budget is finalized whether 2508 was in there. And then there were some bills that were in the unlikely to pass category that sure enough ended up just running out of time or just didn't make it through. So the ones that passed, and these were all in the either already passed or likely to pass column or category last week. So the comprehensive review study, the CNSF project, that passed. The redevelopment of former ag lands passed. The PFAS bill passed. And that one was remember the combination bill. They took the House version with all of the policy stuff that mostly oriented into getting DEP to pause site assessments until they adopt cleanup standards or water quality standards. That was in the House version. And then in 7012, that was the task force creation, creates the PFAS task force. So those were merged together, and we have a combined bill as predicted. The inventories of critical wetlands bill passed, and water quality enhancement areas passed. Private provider inspections of septic tanks passed. The FWC bill passed, and the statewide flooding and sea level rise resilience bill passed. The rest of the bills on our tracking list, obviously didn't make it. And does anybody have any questions? This can be super short and sweet this morning. So procedurally, when a bill is enrolled, that means it is sitting on somebody's desk. It's a figure of speech. It's not really sitting on somebody's desk, but it is waiting for House and Senate leadership to send it to the governor for his consideration. And then once that bill is transmitted to the governor, it does start a clock. I think it's 14 days. If Alan's on, he can correct me. But the governor has a defined period of time once a bill is presented to him to either sign it or veto it or do nothing, which has the effect of signing it. So none of these bills have been transmitted to the governor's office yet.
You were so close, Jeff. It's 15 days.
15. All right. Okay.
It's calendar days too. 15 calendar days.
So any questions, comments, criticisms? There are a few things in here that I don't like.
Jeff, hey, this is Jim. I got a question about, I was reading last week before this meeting, like one of the bills, and I don't understand how this works, so maybe you can explain it. So one of the bills, for example, like say the Senate version was tabled. It said tabled. Yeah. And then the House version got enrolled. So could you explain it a little?
Sure. So what happens sometimes is, let's say the House and Senate versions aren't perfectly matched up. What one chamber can do is lay its bill on the table, which essentially means you kind of set it aside and you take the other chamber's version that has already passed and you pass that as your version. That way you've got the same bill.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Jeff, that occurs if the bills are the same too. It's the way that they, you've got whether, both chambers will have a bill. And that's the way they get it to one bill. So they make a decision between the two leaders, like which one's going to be the one. And if they're different, as Jeff's talking about, they lay one on the table, they fix the other one, and then by amendment, they pass it back out. They might have to bounce it back. But they end up at the end with one bill, with one of the bills just being laid on the table, and the other one is the bill that actually passes.
Thanks. Once again, I was almost accurate.
Almost there. Send you to some training this year. Now, Jeff, you did a great job, man. Your list looks a hell of a lot better than mine does. Show up at 9:30 if you want to see the bloodbath.
I may join you. All right. Any more questions, comments? All right. As always, if anybody does have questions, please shoot me an email. When we do our next committee meetings for CEQ Water Resources, we can do a final, recap of the bills that made it, and I can provide an update on which ones have been presented to the governor and approved. Obviously, there's still a veto, pen out there. So if any of these get vetoed, I'll shoot an email out and let y'all know.
Thank you for everything, Jeff.
No, thank you, Laura. Everybody have a wonderful
Thanks.
weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
For
Jeff. Have a good
everybody
one.
that showed up Fridays. Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
You too.